I knew nothing. So the whole process of embarking on Borderlands has been a process of discovery. Of course, when Eli approached me, we worked together before and I loved the experience, and he said, would you ever? And I said, what is this? And then of course I went online and it just exploded. And I realized it was sort of the king or queen of the looter shooter games, which, as soon as I mentioned it to my older kids, they knew all about it, and their friends who play games. And then I just went, okay, this has a huge audience. And I started to play, and I've got 2 left thumbs. And so I kept literally bashing into, sand hills and walls. But I found it so fun and irreverent and Bruegel-esque. So it's been a lot of fun actually for me, because it's been a standing start in terms of understanding what the world was, continues to be. So when playing Lilith, I talked to Morag and to Kerry Warren, who's doing the hair, and to Daniel Orlandi, who's designing the costumes. And obviously there's only one costume, so you've got to get it right. But there's 3 Borderlands. And so you have a bit of leeway. And also what works in a game won't necessarily work on a woman who's shooting a gun in beer tunnels. So how can we make that work physically so that you don't have to visually correct my costume? And so we came up with the idea that, that Lilith needs to look sort of blown apart. And so we worked with elements of that and tried to make it its own thing visually, but obviously taking on board the fact that Lilith is a character who people cosplay a lot. She's owned in that way and has been inhabited by thousands of women around the world before I have even inhabited her. It's such a sort of a band of misfits. And we were on set the other day, and Kevin and I were talking about it, and we had this, because I was saying, can't we have this moment where Roland and Lilith, who are sort of they come at odds, they're at odds with one another from the beginning. And I said, it would be great if we could find a way where they could physically come together out of necessity, fighting a common enemy. And we were talking about the different ways in which they fight. And that's really cool. I think that all of the characters, through the action, the way they're expressed in action is so different. They're visually so different. Their reasons for being there are so different. But they come together and form this strange, dysfunctional family, but not in a sentimental way that often happens in films like this. I think it's much more irreverent than that. But they all are very, very different. What I love about Eli is he's got such incredible heart. He's profoundly immature, but yet has this amazing knowledge of and reverence for cinema. And the great thing too, I think, is he's such a buoyant, positive presence on set, and he's very, very good with younger actors, I think, as well. And he's really brought out Ariana isn't, an exemplary performer. She's incredible talent, but he's able to work with actors from really different reference points and sort of bring them into the same scene and into the same world. And I think that is it doesn't always happen. People think it does, but it's a really, really, really singular skill which he has. Ariana's fantastic. She's scarily professional, and she's so full of life. The character's so full of life and so unpredictable. I think that's what is great about the character of Tiny Tina, is that she's got a vulnerability, but she's also incredibly unpredictable and dangerous. So that's another thing that Lilith has to keep an eye on. She's a force, but she's a legend, and She's one of the most generous, warm, funny, community-building people I've ever encountered. And she's a big part of the reason why I wanted to do this, just to work with her. I've watched her work, her eclectic body of work, over the years, and so to be sharing screen time with her, but also, to be just hanging out with her on set, off set, has been so fantastic. Jamie is one of the most indefatigably curious people you'll ever met. So she's always kind of asking questions about not only her character, but other people's characters and the situation. And, she's like a rolling stone. She's gathering new bits of information that enrich her, and that's why she's such a fascinating person, I think. Well, look, it's been invaluable having Randy on set. And having his okay with things. I mean, normally you get worried about, what does the studio think about this? Will they be happy? Is the director happy? How's it all looking? I was most nervous about what Randy thought about it all. And then when Christy came, obviously, I was nervous about what she would think, because it's their baby, quite literally, it's their baby. And so to have Randy just go, well, that looks, it's an overused word, but it means a lot to me coming from Randy, the badass, work. When he saw me up there the other day with the flamethrower, it was like, yep, that's good, you got it. Then you feel like you're in the right place.
You've come in search of the secret lost vault of Pandora!
God, I hate this planet.
It's in my mouth!
Go get a bullet. Go get a bullet.
Big bullet coming! Start getting it out!
What are you doing?